3 picks for Tuesday, January 6th. We're taking Duke minus 1.5 at Louisville. We're taking Texas Tech plus 6.5 at Houston. And we're taking the Minnesota Timberwolves minus 3.5 at home against the Miami Heat. All three priced around minus 110, which is perfect, because we'd rather pay for probability than pay for vibes. And yes, we know what the crowd will say. Louisville is 8-0 at home. Houston at the Fertitta Center is automatic. Miami is gritty. Cool. A racing stripe on a minivan doesn't make it a sports car. Numbers first, narratives later. Let's start with Duke minus 1.5 at Louisville. The market is treating this like a coin flip because the venue is loud and the brand names are shiny. But the hinge point is Louisville's offense without Mikel Brown Jr. When your primary organizer is out, your offense doesn't decline in a neat, polite straight line. It falls down the stairs. Louisville can still score, but the shot mix shifts toward higher variance possessions, and that matters when they're trying to cover a tiny number. Here's the math we actually care about. Duke's 2-point efficiency. Duke is converting about 62.5% inside the arc. That is top tier, this travels on the road offense. Layups and paint touches don't get stage fright. Louisville, on the other hand, is basically a 3-point stock portfolio. They take an enormous share of their shots from deep. That can win you games, sure. It can also turn a close spread into a horror movie if the threes go slightly cold for 5 minutes. And Duke's defense is built for this exact problem. They're strong and effective field goal defense, which is a fancy way of saying they don't give away efficient looks. So if Louisville's plan is to live behind the arc, Duke's plan is to make those shots feel like doing algebra in a hurricane. Could Louisville hit enough anyway? Of course, variance exists. But if you're asking a team to cover a small spread, you're asking for reliability, not a lottery ticket with good vibes. Now add the spot. Louisville just did the cross-country thing, coming back from California. Duke's travel is annoying, but it's not jet lag after a loss. Annoying. And in a game where we only need Duke to win by 2, we'll gladly take the team whose offense is built on high-quality 2s instead of praying for a 3-point heater. This is not complicated. It's just unpopular because people love fireworks more than they love compound interest. Second pick, Texas Tech plus 6.5 at Houston. This line is charging a Houston reputation tax. And look, Kelvin Sampson has earned respect. But we're betting the 2026 game, not the highlight reel from a different season. Houston is still elite defensively, but the current profile has 2 cracks that matter against this opponent. Crack number 1, shooting. Houston's effective field goal percentage is sitting around 52%. That's not dominant favorite shooting, that's we need rebounds to survive shooting. Which brings us to crack number 2. Rebounding has been less automatic lately. Houston's identity is supposed to be miss, rebound, put back, repeat. But the recent trend says that dominance isn't as absolute as the market is pricing. Enter Texas Tech and JT Toppin. The guy is a vacuum cleaner with legs. Elite rebounding, including a serious offensive rebounding punch, and that is the exact antidote to Houston's usual edge. And Texas Tech isn't just crashing the glass. They have the geometry to stress the defense. Christian Anderson orchestrates, Toppin screens and rolls, and the shooters punish you for helping. Even Sampson has basically admitted the Anderson and Toppin pairing is a nightmare to cover. When the opposing coach is saying out loud, "This is a problem," we listen. And the situational piece is simple. Houston had to grind in a high-effort spot recently, while Texas Tech comes in fresher off a game that didn't require 40 minutes of stress. That matters late, when legs turn jumpers into line drives. Meanwhile, some preview outlets are happily laying the points with Houston like it's a coupon. That's fine. Betting a hyped favorite at short odds is like paying $100 for a $50 bill. The math hurts every time. We're taking the cushion because the matchup says this should be a 2-possession game, not a comfortable Houston cruise. Third pick, Minnesota minus 3.5 hosting Miami. If you're allergic to laying points, this one will make you itchy. Minnesota isn't always a cover machine at home. But matchup edges don't care about your comfort level. The core issue is size and structure. Minnesota can put real mass on the floor, and Miami's front court has to spend possessions absorbing contact, boxing out, and surviving. That's not just tiring. It steals bandwidth from offense. And without Jaime Jaquez Jr., Miami loses a layer of physicality and defensive versatility that helps them handle exactly this kind of opponent. Now let's talk efficiency and how games actually stretch. Minnesota owns an edge in effective field goal percentage, and they get to the line more often. Free throws are how good teams turn up 4 into up 10. People obsess over threes because they're dramatic. Meanwhile, the spread gets covered at the line, possession by possession, like a slow leak that turns into a flood. We also have the most useful data point of all. These teams just saw each other, and Minnesota won by about 10 on Miami's floor. Now Minnesota goes home. Even if Anthony Edwards is listed as questionable, Minnesota's scoring depth is still healthier than Miami's ability to solve the size problem for 48 minutes. Miami can absolutely have a hot shooting night because anyone can. But planning your bet around Miami shoots 40% from 3 again is like building your retirement plan around scratch-off tickets. It's exciting right up until reality shows up. So we're staying consistent. Duke minus 1.5. Texas Tech plus 6.5. Minnesota minus 3.5. 3 bets, 3 spots where the market is paying for reputation and headlines, and we're paying for the parts of basketball that repeat. Wager responsibly, and as always, if someone tries to sell you a narrative without numbers, ask them if 2 plus 2 is still 4 when the arena gets loud.